Nobody likes talking to... You know what? I'm gonna sing it an octave higher, because you guys are worth it. Let's try that.
Nobody gets a bonus, 'cause I'm lying. Boo, like a big asshole. Nobody likes a bonus, and if you don't get it, you're crying. Boo.
Sam, stop. Stop. That's enough,
what?
Randy. That's enough Randy singing for today, please.
Oh, sorry. I mean, I was just getting into it. Sorry, my bad.
That's
sorry.
right.
I was just, I had a dream also that the bonuses that these people might be getting is on a USB, and he's hidden the USB. Okay.
What else does the USB contain, Sam? That's the question. We'll find out today when we talk about Randy Pitchford and his latest shenanigans, screwing his staff out of the bonuses that they've actually worked for like 5 years, and that they expected and that were theirs, and then all of a sudden he's like, poof. Your bonus is gone. Amateur magician Randy thank you very much. Amateur magician Randy Pitchford makes your bonus disappear after the drop.
To answer your question, Ralph, what is on the USB? It's going to be Tifa images. You guys will understand what I'm talking about when you see this good old FF game. We can't confirm we're playing it. It is out in Australia. We'll do something on it tomorrow, I think.
But look, today's top story is that Randy Pitchford, we know Randy. He's been around these Laymen parts before. He's a bit of a douchebag, okay? The rich history of Randy's douchebaggery goes back quite a while. I think
many years.
Many years. Certainly one of the biggest examples of that was Aliens Colonial Marines, where a game was promised that was going to be really cool, and they showed off all these amazing trailers and whatever. It looked great, and then the final product was absolute dog shit. In fact, only recently did they discover that there was an AI error that basically made the AI really dumb in that game. And that was only
Oh my god, what?
That was
That's
only
the
fixed
only
like
issue with that game. That's the only issue with that game.
Obviously, there was a lot more, but people were very pissed about Aliens Colonial Marines. You had Randy being really shooting his mouth off on Twitter a lot over the years. And in particular, he had a public spat with the voice of Claptrap. And they were going hell for leather on Twitter, back and forward, over and over again, for a long period of time. A lot of this was relating to a rumor that Randy actually took a $12 million bonus and kind of pocketed it for himself without telling anyone. And it should have actually gone to the company, but he kind of like moved it from the company to his own sort of like private magic business that he has.
Yes.
This is a rumor, of course, it's not confirmed, but it's certainly like a well-known kind of fact at this point that that actually happened, you know?
I think he was just practicing magic, you know. He was just like, look, I want to make sure this disappears, and no one really has looked into this further. So that is a successful magician move. Okay,
It is.
And look, there's been other things with Randy, of course. There's been potential assault charges. There's been the infamous USB that was left at medieval times.
Yes.
If only it was medieval times and there was no USB, then he wouldn't be in this issue, you see. But there is the USB, and there's apparently some porn on there.
And he admitted that there was porn on there, and it was female ejaculation, and then
demonetized.
And then he like kind of justified it, like, oh, I realized that this woman was doing a magic trick, and I was interested to understand.
I remember that. Yeah.
Her magic. And we're like, dude, how could you make it sound so weird and creepy? Like, what the fuck, man? Anyway,
I agree. Really... I mean, look, I'm also studying magic. I've been studying magic now since I was about 12 years old. So I get it, and I'm on the path still. I'm forever looking.
Is that on the Stay Home Hub, Sam, that you're studying?
Yes.
Magic?
Stay at home hub, exactly.
Right. So, look, obviously, Randy Pitchford, douchebag extraordinaire, really, at this point. But he's not done, okay? He's not done. He's got more magic to show. And today, it was revealed by Jason Schreier of Kotaku, article in the description below, thank you very much, Sam,
yes.
that they are going to be basically screwing their staff out of the bonuses that were promised to them. So this is actually quite an important point to understand about how this overall bonus pool works. And that is the idea that, most studios will offer a bonus, okay? That's a standard feature. But at Gearbox, it's different because what they do is they offer lower base wages and salaries, and they offer a higher total portion of like their remuneration to staff as a bonus. It's sort of like a 60% goes to the company, 40% goes to the staff, which is a larger split than what you see elsewhere.
Which it can potentially sound good, right? Especially on paper, because when 2012's Borderlands 2 came out, many Gearbox employees were apparently going out and able to buy like a house with the amount of bonus they were getting. Yeah. And good old Randy and Gearbox were touting that to people that they were looking to get on for new employees. So look, that cool. I mean, when you do well, you can make a lot of money, and a lot of people in the past have at least made a lot of money from that. But magician work yet again, it looks like the next bonus has disappeared now.
Yeah, so what's happened here is that Randy called everyone into a meeting, and he's like, guys, the bonuses just aren't coming, or they are coming, but they say, quote, employees at the studio will get small bonus checks, but nothing close to the tens and thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars that many had expected. That account is based on conversations with 6 people close to Gearbox, all speaking anonymously because they were not authorized to talk about what happened. Some said it was crushing news that has upended their financial plans for the future. So, I mean, this just, by the way, like a lot of industries actually run on this kind of commission/bonus structure, where like if you work in banking, for example, if you work in sales, if you work in a lot of roles, you work really hard for the year for your year-end bonus to come through. For this as well, it's not like you work for 1 year really hard. You actually work for like 5 or 6 years at Gearbox to eventually get that bonus when the game ships. So it's like the most sort of like high-risk bonus structure you could possibly invest in if you're a developer, waiting 5 years for that check to come through, and all of a sudden you get called into a meeting, and you're expecting that you're going to get like $100,000 so you can like buy a house or a car or whatever it is, like make a big step forward in your life, and then you can't do that because Randy like snaps his fingers. Like, imagine how that would feel, man.
Yeah, I can't think of a worse time also when, a lot of people are losing their jobs, and maybe your spouse is out of work or whatever, and you're like, don't worry, baby, I've got this, Randy's
totally
about to give me a check of a couple of $100,000 because I've been doing 6 years of this development. I mean, with the whole pandemic thing. So it's a real double whammy in regards to really shitty for the actual employees, but when a depression is hitting, my God, that is going to be absolutely devastating.
Now, Randy did offer a justification to his staff as to why this has happened, and he said that Borderlands 3 had been more expensive than expected. The company had grown significantly larger than it had been in the past. It now operates a second studio in Quebec, Canada, and their sales projections had been off base. It's important to note on the sales-based stuff that recently 2K just said that it was the most successful Borderlands launch in history.
Exactly.
And that it is now a billion-dollar franchise. And they were basically just like, guys, we did it. We absolutely nailed it. We're amazing.
They did the Cliffy B. They actually did the Cliffy B.
So I actually wonder how much impact the Epic Game Store decision had on this as well. Because don't forget, this game went exclusively to the Epic Game Store, which obviously would have hit its sales with its core PC audience, which are the most enthused Borderlands fans. I wonder whether or not the bonus that was paid around this went to staff, if that was part of the bonus pool. I suspect that it wasn't. And, and now to hear all of a sudden that this has happened, it really does make me question the wisdom of that decision and whether or not it's actually ended up hurting staff.
See, this is why I completely disagree. I don't believe for a second that the Epic Games had anything to do with it. Because if you're coming out saying this is the biggest game that's ever been released for us, it's a billion-dollar franchise, on top of that, Epic Games has given you some sort of lump of cash. We don't know the exact amount, but there's figures out there of around 10 million, and they're just all alleged figures, right? No one actually knows. But I mean, you've made some money before you've even released the goddamn thing. And then on top of that, it is coming out. It's not exclusive forever on has it already come out to Steam now?
Yeah, it's out on Steam now, yeah.
Exactly, it's out on Steam now, and I'm sure they would have got a small injection of cash too. But the bottom line is you cannot come out and say this is the biggest release ever, and then say you've got money problems. And then to go on and open another studio, that's fine. That's a choice of Gearbox and Randy, but that should have been factored in before you're like, okay, cool, we're gonna open a new studio off the back of everyone's bonuses, That's a huge, huge thing there.
I think this is the really important point. Expenses don't just surprise you. When you open up a studio, it's not like he magically made it appear and then all of a sudden he's got like $100 liability on his profit and loss and balance sheet or whatever. It's like he knew this was coming. They can project their expenses. So maybe if their sales projections were a little bit off, were they so off that they couldn't factor in all of the expenses that they'd accrued, it would have been possible to tell staff this earlier.
And look, I get it that sometimes when you're actually creating something with gaming or movies, the budget can go over, right? But I mean, I'm just surprised to see that the first thing that goes is the very thing that attracts talent. In addition, it does say in the article that before Gearbox could actually receive any royalties, it kind of had to recoup the amount that 2K has put into this thing. $155 million redos was the initial budget, plus all the downloadable content of like a sum of $228 million. So there's a lot of money there, fine.
Sure.
But at the bottom line, you've made a lot of money off this thing, and $228 million doesn't sound like a gigantic figure when you are touting also that this is your biggest game ever. So I really still wonder if this is all kind of, bullshit.
Well, yeah, everyone wonders that. It probably is. Gearbox actually did release a statement about this. It's really gross in the way that it reads. It's kind of long, so I won't read the whole thing. But basically, they keep referring to their people as the talent. Like, it's weird. They're like, in the most recent pay period, Gearbox Talent enjoyed news that Borderlands 3, having earned revenue exceeding the largest investment ever made by the company into a single video game, had officially become a profitable video game, and the talent at Gearbox that participates in the royalty bonus program system has now earned their first royalty bonus on that profit. Additionally, a forecast update was given to the talent at Gearbox that participates in the royalty bonus to set expectations for the coming quarters. Gearbox is a private company that does not issue forward-looking statements to the public, but we do practice transparency within our own family. I love how they call it their own family. Just right after they screw them out of their massive bonuses, they're like, "We're a family here, guys."
Yeah, well, there's plenty of families that do screw people out of money, so you know what, that might be very true. But
true.
I do think that's super slimy. And I felt like the talent is definitely like, I don't know, I'm feeling subclass vibes there. I don't know why. I'm just feeling like they're not as important as the actual board and the CEO there.
It's got to lead to a certain brain drain as well. Like, if you've worked people this hard for this long with the promise of a bonus and you're paying them below industry salary, then why would they stick around? Like, obviously, if they've built a life there and they can't leave because, development jobs aren't plentiful in that space, that's going to be tough for them. But like, if you can up and move and a company screwed you over like this, why would you stay? Like, it just,
and this is
at
the
this
thing,
point, if I poured 4 or 5 years into a company, I'd be like, no, I'm out, man, I'm done.
Yeah, and this is in the article, it does say that Randy said, look, if you're not happy with this pay structure, you can just leave.
Yeah.
Like that's ultimate scumminess, It's
I just can't believe
if you're
that
not
line.
happy with the amount of little amount of money I gave you, well, I mean, you can leave, if you want. It's just so shitty and scummy. Sadly, the whole Randy Pitchford story over the last few years has just been more and more slimy, icky little things that always pop out. And this is just the latest thing that he's done, So I wonder if this is going to really have an effect on the next... I mean, look, let's face it, people will always line up for Gearbox games, especially when it's Borderlands. But I wonder if it'll actually have an effect on talent. That's the big thing there.
For sure.
Because it does say in the article too... Yeah, it does say in the article too that some of the actual staff are expecting a mass exodus out of this because this has been financially devastating for people, which it is. I mean, it's massive,
Anyway, guys, that's Randy's latest magic trick, his greatest disappearance act yet. What will he make disappear next? Gearbox's reputation. Now, that's pretty hurt,
that's
to be honest
good.
with you.
Well,
it's just not bad. We'll see. Anyway, guys, that's the episode.
Well, he's already made the USB disappear. Goodbye, friends.
If you're in Australia, enjoy playing Final Fantasy VII.
Yes, and we will do something on that tomorrow. Goodbye, everyone.
Nobody likes talking to a drunk unless he's buying. Nobody says hello when they're goodbying unless they're Hawaiian. Nobody tastes eggs and bacon.